In a small Irish village called Bellewstown, people still remember a man who pulled off a daylight robbery of $600,000. The astonishing thing is that he had neither a gun in his hand nor a mask on his face. After this heist, he roamed around openly, but the police couldn't even touch a hair on his head because he carried out this entire robbery in a completely legal manner. This man's name was Barney Curley, a mysterious and cunning gambler, so cunning that players and bookies would stop gambling just by hearing his name. Using his intellect, he not only found the weaknesses in the system, but also turned them into his weapon. This is the astonishing tale of 1975, which the world knows today as the Yellow Sam betting coup. Welcome once again to Money Basics Explains videos. Viewers, on June 26, 1975, a small village named Bellewstown, located 26 kilometers from Dublin, was hosting a horse race. There was a lot of excitement at the racecourse. Preparations for the race to start were underway. People were placing bets on various horses, and bookies were settling into their positions. But Barney Curley was nowhere to be seen. He was hiding inside the racecourse itself in some thorny bushes, waiting for the race to start. The reason for his hiding was the bookies present there. If they found out that Barney had also come, or that his horse was going to run in the race, they would immediately become alert and might even stop accepting bets. At that time, Barney's name was quite notorious in the gambling industry. In any race Barney participated in, just showing up on the ground would make the bookies understand that something fishy was definitely going on. But the trick he was about to pull that day was the biggest and most dangerous of his life. Barney Curley was a man who hadn't even spared his own father. His father, Charlie Curley, trained greyhound dogs and gambled by racing them. At the last moment of a race, he would give drugs to his slowest dog, forcing it to run fast, and bet all his money on it. In this way, he would deceive the bookies and make a good amount of money. Barney was well aware of his father's actions. One day, when he was a 15-year-old boy, Charlie told him to give the dog meat filled with the drug, but Barney deliberately did not give that meat to the dog. The next day in the race, that dog lost. Charlie suffered a decent loss, but one person was very happy about it: Barney. Barney had secretly fed the drugged meat to another dog and placed his bet on it. By deceiving his own father, Barney earned his first pounds, which would be worth about $500 today. So if a person started their gambling career by cheating their own father, you can imagine what they would do to the rest of the world. In betting, there is a gambler who places money on horses, and if their horse wins, they get double, triple, or whatever the odds are. The person who sets these odds is the bookie. They decide how many times more money you get on which horse. If a horse is slow, its chances of winning are low, so its odds are the highest, say 20 to 1, meaning bet 1 rupee, and if it wins, you take 20 rupees. Similarly, the horse with the highest chances of winning has the lowest odds, because everyone is betting on it. The person who earns the most is the one who bet on the slowest horse, and that horse ends up winning, 20 times the earnings. Charlie spent his whole life making his slow greyhounds fast with medicines and his fast dogs slow. That's how he cheated the bookies. And since betting wasn't legal back then, there really weren't any rules. In 1956, an incident occurred that drowned Charlie in debt up to his nose. He had, as usual, drugged his slow dog and put all his money on it. But perhaps destiny had something else in store. Due to the wrong effect of the medicine, not only did that dog lose, but it also fell and broke its spine. Barney was 16 years old then and took his father's loss to heart. This single defeat pushed the entire family into a quagmire of debt. Barney had to leave school and work as a laborer in a factory to help pay off his father's debts. For the next 18 months, both worked night and day, and whatever they earned was all given back to the bookies. This was the time when Barney saw the dangerous and dark side of gambling. After this, he did many jobs in his life, but everywhere he only faced losses. He opened a betting shop, then a pub. He also stepped into music management, but that didn't work out either. He even started smuggling, bringing Gillette blades across the border. But one day, a conflict erupted at the border, and the sound of gunfire terrified Barney. His heart always remained attached to horse racing and gambling. Finally, he decided to step into the professional world of gambling. After all, even if it was by cheating his own father, his first earnings had come from here. By 1975, he had caused quite a stir in the gambling world. Sometimes his tricks worked, sometimes he would drown in debt. It reached a point where bookies would get nervous just hearing Barney's name, wouldn't let him play, or would immediately lower the odds on the horses with the highest rates. This time, Barney was drowning in a debt of £12,000, and he had only one way to get out of this quagmire. It was then that a mischievous idea was born in his mind. Barney contacted an old friend and asked for a horse with a very poor record. This horse was named Yellow Sam, which happened to be Barney's father's nickname. This horse's record was extremely bad. In its last 9 races, it had finished worse than 8th. Barney devised an extremely clever strategy. He deliberately ran the horse on ground and in races that were against its nature. This further lowered Yellow Sam's official rating, so much so that it became eligible for handicap racing. Whereas the reality was that Yellow Sam was a horse that could run fast on firm ground. Barney got Yellow Sam under-handicapped so that when the real race came, he could run fast. He chose a national race scheduled for June 26, 1975 at Bellewstown Racecourse. It was a handicap race, the Mount Hanover Hurdle. But what he had done so far was only one part of his plan. Choosing the Bellewstown track also had a special reason. There was only one single phone booth for communication. In those days, whenever a race happened, people across the country would start placing bets on their chosen horses hours in advance at betting shops. The betting shops were connected with the bookies. If too much money was bet on a particular horse, the shops would inform the bookies to lower that horse's odds. But the rule was that once the race started, the odds would be locked. Barney thought that if he could somehow block the only phone line at Bellewstown Racecourse at the last moment, the connection between the bookies there and the betting shops would be cut off, and Yellow Sam's odds would remain at 20-1 until the very end. But this had to be done in such a way that no one suspected anything. If the bookies even got a hint, they would lower the odds on all horses. The success of this plan depended on Barney's trustworthy friends supporting him. He selected 300 people across the whole island who would go and place bets on Yellow Sam at the last moment. For this, Barney had given them envelopes with cash ranging from £50 to £300. For this planning, Barney had accumulated £15,000, which was his entire life savings at that time. If this plan failed, he would not only be ruined, but could also end up in jail under the weight of debt. Now came race day. Betting had started hours earlier at the shops. As expected, Yellow Sam had the highest odds because his official rating was very weak. 25 minutes before the race started, a man named Benny reached the public phone booth at Bellewstown Racecourse. He was a trusted friend of Barney's and was the one supposed to occupy the phone booth. He picked up the phone and deliberately started crying. People waiting in line tolerated it for a while, but he said his aunt was ill and on her deathbed, and it was very important for him to talk to her. Many people sympathized with his sorrow, but the bookie standing in that same line had a big problem. Barney had given Benny instructions that if anyone tried to forcibly take the phone, he should angrily break it if necessary, but under no circumstances should he let anyone else make a call from there.
For 25 minutes, Benny kept talking to his sick aunt and kept crying. As soon as the race started, Benny put the receiver down, came out crying, and immediately disappeared somewhere.
Meanwhile, Barney's people, spread across the country, placed bets on Yellow Sam. Yellow Sam's odds remained at 20-1 and were locked as soon as the race started. Betting managers immediately tried to call the track to get the odds lowered, but every time they got a busy signal. The bookies at the track had no idea what storm had arrived outside. At that time, Barney himself was present at the racecourse. But to avoid the bookies' eyes, he was hiding in the bushes and watching the race with the help of binoculars. When the race started, Yellow Sam showed astonishing speed with his jockey. Even favorite horses like Silver Road seemed unsuccessful in front of him. Yellow Sam easily cleared 13 hurdles and won the race by a length of 2.5 meters. When the race ended and the bookies found out what had happened to them, there was a huge uproar. They tracked down Benny, who had occupied the phone booth, but he said, "Sorry, my aunt is better now," and refused to identify Barney. Now it was the bookies' turn to pay Barney. Barney's total investment in this game was £5,000, for which he was supposed to get 20 times that amount, meaning £300,000, which today would be around £3.5 million. The angry bookies paid this amount in £1 notes, which filled a total of 108 sacks. This story became headlines all over Ireland and the UK. Barney Curley became a legend overnight. The most important thing was that he hadn't broken any law. He had merely exploited the weakness of the system and turned it into his weapon. After this incident, bookies changed their rules and mandated a minimum 30-minute time frame for large bets. Barney Curley made many small and large gambles after 1975, but the coups in 2010 and 2014 proved that his mind worked just as sharply even at the age of 70. Barney Curley passed away on May 23, 2021 at the age of 81 after battling cancer. Upon his death, the world of horse racing paid tribute to him as a genius and the Robin Hood of racing, because he was a man who on one hand knew the art of robbing the system and on the other hand had the courage to spend that same money on the poor. We hope you will like and share this Money Basics Explained video as well. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.